So every team has played their first game of the Premier League season, and I think quite a few things were learned. So today's video, we're going to be talking about what we learned from each of the big Premier League clubs during game week 1 on players, on tactics, what was good, what was bad. We're covering the big 6 sides, but because I have my own Man United channel where I waffle about Man United all the time, I do Newcastle United on this channel instead of Man United because they form the big 7 with their Saudi takeover. So we're going to start with Chelsea, then go to Arsenal, then go to Tottenham, then go to Liverpool, then go to Newcastle, then go to Manchester City and talk about what we learned from their game. Guys, please hit that like button and, of course, subscribe down below if you're new. Let me know if you want me to make this a series after maybe every game week, like maybe 24 hours after the end of each game week, I could do a little summary. But I want to talk about Chelsea first because I didn't do a match reaction on the video, and I want to just say, give a round of applause to Lavia. Lavia has been out for a whole year, basically injured, basically been out the year. And, he comes into a Chelsea side, new manager, new system. This manager didn't sign him, young player, against Manchester City, the toughest of tests. And he was absolutely phenomenal. He was absolutely incredible. And to be fair, Maresca worked with City. Lavia was at City once. Maybe there's a connection there. But his ability to receive the ball on the half-turn break lines, his ability in possession to receive the ball at all angles was absolutely incredible. He was completely press resistant. He was progressing plays with ease. He looked completely comfortable. He was happy to have the ball in tight spaces, drop deep, receive the ball, play the ball forward with ease. He was given elements of Rodri. He was, for me, the best midfielder on the pitch. Rodri was not on the pitch, but he was phenomenal. And he also is more of a natural DM than Caicedo and Enzo in terms of his positional sense, his defensive sense. He's known for being good on the ball, but if his positional sense was good, he's going to athletically develop. He's fast. He marked his players well. He read the game well. I thought him and Caicedo worked really well, and I think Caicedo, because of the price tag, people try and make out that Caicedo's been a flop at Chelsea. Second half of last season, Caicedo was quite good for Chelsea, especially once Cucurella started inverting and helping him out. I think Lavia and Caicedo could work really well, and I actually think that Enzo should have been subbed and not Lavia, because I think Cole Palmer and Cuckoo could have easily been moved to the 10. You put Neto on as a touchline winger and Lavia stays on the. I think Nkuku's a very good player, but he got misprofiled that game. He is not a touchline winger. He's someone that operates best more in central spaces. And I think when Pedro Neto came on, he showed so much promise. Didn't see a lot of Pedro Neto, but I think he'll be a really good signing for Chelsea. I think if he can stay fit, he's a very, very good player. And I thought he showed promise. And I thought Chelsea create chances, but they just didn't finish off their chances. Don't think Jackson had his best game. I do actually think Jackson's a good player, but I just didn't think he had his best game. I didn't think Enzo had his best game either. I think Chelsea lacked the cutting edge in the final third and probably did enough to get the goal. I think having Fofana and Lavia back will be basically new signings for Chelsea because they were pretty much unable to play the whole of last season. Even as a rival fan, I think it's really good to see Fofana and Lavia have good games and be back from injury because it's not very nice to see young players out for that long. And I thought, it was good to see Cole at centre back and not left back. And I think Colwell and Fofana, it could be a good partnership. I know Haaland caused some issues there, but that is Erling Haaland. He's a freak of nature. I do think that they have some very good individuals at Chelsea. It's about keeping them fit, finding the best team, finding the best individuals. But I felt that even though Chelsea lost 2-0, it was quite a mean scoreline, a harsh scoreline. I think Chelsea had quite a bit to build off. You're playing against Manchester City. It's going to be the most difficult game. I thought Chelsea looked better structurally. I thought Chelsea showed a bit of composure on the ball. I thought there was a lot of positives for Chelsea to take despite the loss. I think Maresca adapted his systems at times where the fullbacks were then going wide and Nkuku was overlapping, Cole Palmer was underlapping, not Nkuku, sorry. Malagusta was overlapping, Cole Palmer was underlapping. It worked well. I think there was things he should have changed. I don't agree with Maresca's subs. I think he should have taken Enzo off and moved Nkuku central to bring Neto on, or Cole Palmer central, something like that. I think he needs to do better with his subs, but I thought that, Maresca made some good tactical adaptations with the fullbacks, particularly coming out wide and then inverting and causing unpredictability. I think the 2-0 scoreline was harsh on Chelsea. They probably did enough to make it 1-1, but City just had that cutting edge, and I think Chelsea just lacked the final finish. And look, I think Jackson is a decent player, but I can see why Maresca wants a proper box physical striker for the way that he plays. As well, let's talk about Arsenal. Saka is special. Saka is a joke of a player, and I mean that in the sense of, he's unreal. Starts at left back, comes through in a really poor Arsenal side as a young kid, and is a standout performer in a really poor Arsenal side. They completely changed tactics and approach under Mikel Arteta. He develops into this right winger, and when Arsenal were bad, he's still phenomenal. When Arsenal were good, he's still phenomenal. For England, Phil Foden's ghosting, but Saka's there. He's been absolutely phenomenal. Saka is such a good player. He's such a good outlet for Arsenal. Goal, assist. He drives at players. He makes everything happen. He's so good dribbling. He's unpredictable. He's such a game changer, and he's an irreplaceable player. And if you do not think Bukayo Saka is a special player, you do not watch football. People give him stick online. If he has one bad game, it goes all over the internet. I've seen Foden have plenty of bad games, and he doesn't get the same amount of attention as Saka. Saka is an unbelievable player who's done it for England, who's done it for Arsenal, who's done it in multiple systems. He can do what the manager asks of him. And I think people underappreciate how talented and good Bukayo Saka is. I would take him at Manchester United in a heartbeat. And another guy that was really impressive is Kai Havertz. Kai Havertz' game numbers here: 44 touches, 10 touches in the opposition box, 7 duels won, 5 shots, 3 fouls won, 2 chances created, 1 goal, 1 assist. His 16th and 17th goal contribution of the calendar year. Only Cole Palmer has more goal contributions in 2024 than Havertz. And if you take away penalties, Havertz ranked first. He didn't get going at Arsenal till December time, but once Havertz got going, he's turned into a monster. He's had some really good games back in the midfield position in pre-season against Leverkusen and a 6-0 win versus West Ham, but he's been phenomenal as a 9. And I think Arsenal are prioritising Miko Marino over a number 9 because I actually think that Arsenal's left centre mid is more of a need than a number 9, because although Havertz isn't Haaland, he's a pretty good striker, he's a pretty good finisher, he's got box instinct, his movement is, in terms of off the ball, ability to stretch play, ability to move, ability to open up space, Havertz is one of the best players in the world for that. And you've got to give Mikel Arteta credit for reviving Havertz's career, bringing back the Leverkusen Havertz. And Havertz in 2024 has been absolutely phenomenal and so key to what Arsenal do off the ball. His movement, his ability to make runs, he's so unpredictable. And because there's loads of technical players around him at Arsenal that are good on the ball, you can fit in a player like Havertz. My review of the Arsenal game was Rice, a great keeper. He made a good save. It was a very good first half from Arsenal, who were in full control, but in the second half, Arsenal dropped off. Wolves had a 20-minute period in that game where they should have scored, and Arsenal were nervy, and Arsenal sat back a little bit too deep, invited on too much pressure, and Wolves looked very good for 20 minutes. But then Arteta made some substitutions, Zinchenko off, Jurrien Timber on. Jurrien Timber, what a player, by the way. He's going to be a top signing for you. And Arsenal regained control. Arsenal deserved to win the game, but there was a period where Wolves should have capitalised on their period on top and scored, and that's where just Arsenal's level and quality showed there. But Arsenal had several players who missed part of pre-season, so they're going to take a few weeks to speed up, but you can see why they want Marino badly. Rice back as a 6, Marino in the midfield, elevate the left-hand side, and I do think Arsenal deserve to win. Going on to Tottenham, and I know I'm talking a bit quick, but I don't want this video to be super long. Maddison was brilliant. But first half of the season, James Maddison was back. The something about James Maddison when it's the first 10 games of the season where he absolutely turns it on and he was phenomenal. It was a man of the match performance from James Maddison versus Leicester. He was absolutely pulling the strings for Tottenham Hotspur. He was absolutely incredible. And if James Maddison can keep up those kind of performances all season and Solanke starts scoring the goals, I don't have too many concerns about Tottenham's attack. It's just, can their wingers beat their man 1v1? I think Ange is a good manager, and I think Ange just needs the right profile of players that can stay consistent, can stay fit. Now, I think Tottenham are having a very underrated transfer window, particularly if they bring in João Gomez. But 3 key passes from Maddison. He got an assist, 0.98 expected assist. Only Casemiro got a higher expected assist in the opening Premier League week. Maddison's a phenomenal player. He can change the game. And I think if Ange could find a way to make him and Kulu work, both in those central spaces, Maddison on the left half space, Kulu on the right half space, and maybe a 6 that is just a monster at covering ground that could allow them to do that, Tottenham could have something special, but it is all about balance. Now, Tottenham dropped points to Leicester, and that will feel like a loss because, you know, Leicester City, you expect to beat them, right? But I do think that Tottenham did enough to win that game. They were just very Spursy. They were in control of the first half. They should have been 3-0 up at half-time. Leicester did not have a sniff. The first time Leicester had a sniff, they scored through Vardy and then had about 15 minutes of momentum and confidence after that. Tottenham played like a team where they should have won the game, they deserved to win the game, and they only have themselves to blame for not putting the chances away. Solanke and Bentancur maybe could have scored, but ultimately, if I was a Tottenham fan, I wouldn't be worried, even though it's Leicester, even though you've dropped points, even though you've conceded a silly goal, even though it's same Spursy errors, I wouldn't be too worried because if you watch that game, you know that Tottenham were good. I also thought Solanke showed promise. People online will say he's crap, he missed a sitter. It wasn't a sitter, it was harder than you think to score. His movement was really good. His understanding with teammates I thought was good. I thought he pressed well. I thought he got into the right areas. I thought his hold-up and link-up play was good. I think every bit of element that Solanke showed, I think he had a very good performance. I think that he will be a good player for Tottenham. He just needs a few more chances. Obviously, he could have scored one of those chances, but I thought his link-up, his movement, I think he's the right fit for Ange's system. I think he will slot him well, and I think with the right wingers, I think Ange can have a lethal attack. But I do think that Tottenham lack a little bit of that quality in the final third. Which brings me into the final third. The wingers could not beat their man, and I think that's what cost Tottenham. I think Odegaard and Mikey Moore could cement a place in the first team, or one of them could cement a place, particularly on that right wing side, if Tottenham's wingers do not step up. Brennan Johnson has looked good in cameos for Tottenham, but not consistently. Was very poor yesterday. struggling to meet the man 1v1, struggling with the press, struggling with the intensity, struggling with the work rate, struggling to make things happen. Son is not a touchline winger. He's more of an inside forward. I think he's best when he can cut inside and get it more centrally, but Ange likes touchline wingers. Kulu doesn't have the pace to play out wide in Ange's system in terms of progression and 1v1. He's better centrally. I do think there's question marks over the wings at Tottenham, which is obviously why they wanted Pedro Neto, and Mikey Moore and Odopert could get a few opportunities there. I think Son is an unbelievable player, but there is definitely question marks around the wing. Can Werner, can Brennan Johnson make that step up? That's the big question. Going into Liverpool, Salah is inevitable. Whenever people start to write Salah off saying he's finished, he should be sold, he's past his best, it's almost like Salah just says, shh. Salah, game week 1, and what did he do? 2 big chances, 1 goal, 1 assist, 2 chances created, probably could have got 2 goals. He had a phenomenal game. It is Ipswich, but Ipswich gave Liverpool a very difficult first half. And Salah just came out in that second half and he said, I'm not done. I'm not finished. And I think Salah becomes underrated because he's been so good scoring 30 goals and 20 plus goals so consistently for so long. If Salah scores like 23 goals in the season, that's a bad season. But if any other player scored like 23 goals in the season, they're unbelievable. He's almost become underrated, Salah. Liverpool stunk it up in the first half, but the football they played in the second half was unbelievable. And credit to Klopp for making those tactical changes. And he made a few changes in midfield, with Gravenberch going more to the left, Trent coming more into midfield and to the right. And Gravenberch and Szoboszlai were unbelievable. That second half from Gravenberch and Szoboszlai was fantastic. Gravenberch was dropping deep, getting the ball off the centre-backs, laying it into Szoboszlai. Szoboszlai's movement and creativity in the final third. 2 players that were hit and miss at Liverpool last season. Szoboszlai had a really good 3 months and then dropped off. Gravenberch showed promise, but he was inconsistent. Slot got them balling, and Liverpool have the personnel in midfield. It's just the question of balance. Can Slot find his DM and making them consistent? But I have to say, Gravenberch was phenomenal in that 6 role. I think he could be moulded into a 6 under Arne Slot, but I think in the Premier League with the levels of Declan Rice and Rodri, it's one of those where I think Liverpool should get a 6 and not take the risk. But he wasn't dribbled past once. He didn't make a foul. He won 5 out of 11 ground duels, which could be a little bit better, but he's still done well. 2 recoveries, 2 out of 2 long balls, 9 passes into final third, 67 touches, 86% passing accuracy. But what Gravenberch did so well was what he did on the ball. The reason Slot doesn't rate Endo, who's very good off the ball at doing the positional sense and winning back the ball, is because Endo isn't as good on the ball. And that's why he wants Subamende, someone that can drop deep, take the ball off the centre-backs and progress the play with ease. Gravenberch's ability to break lines, be press resistant, get out of tight spaces, manipulate defenders. He sends players the wrong way because he can disguise his passes so well. His ability to carry the ball is probably his number 1 strength. His strides where he just run through Ipswich from Liverpool's box to Ipswich box, played a really good ball into Diaz, who maybe could have done a bit better. His ability to carry the ball, his ability to break lines, his technical ability, his ability in possession, Ryan Gravenberch is absolutely phenomenal. I don't think people realise how good he is in possession. The question mark is, does he have the positional discipline to be a number 6 and the defensive awareness to be a number 6, which can Slot coach into him potentially with Bajcetic, Endo, Gravenberch, McAllister. Liverpool can make that 6 work for a year under Slot, but I can see why Liverpool may need a 6. I thought they were poor in the first half, but Slot did well in the second half. I thought Jota, Salah and Diaz all could have had another goal, and I think 2-0 was a flattering scoreline for Ipswich. With the chances Liverpool created in the second half, they could have won like 4-0. I thought Trent was simply elite. There was about a 10-minute period where Trent played about 5 passes where he's absolutely bang on the money and fantastic and put it into the right area so dangerously. Only Trent can do that. He's such an elite level player. Liverpool need to stop messing about signing another goalkeeper and go and get Trent on a new contract. That's what you need to do because he's a 1 in a million player. Slot can play good football. You learnt that in the second half. You're playing good football under Slot. I think you need a winger because I think Gakpo, Diaz, Jota, Salah, there's good options there, but Slot likes his wingers. Maybe you need a winger. I think you may need a long-term centre-back to replace Matip, someone that's comfortable on the left-hand side because Konate's injury record and Sepp van der Berg's set to leave now, and a DM. It's probably what you need, those 3 signings. Whether Liverpool do it, there's 10 days left in the window. We'll have to wait and see. Now let's talk about the Newcastle United game. The ref was a joke and he ruined the game. Shaw shouldn't have done that. And you get sent off for that, and I can understand why Shaw's been sent off. He shouldn't have done that. He shouldn't have reacted like that. But I will say this now. Eric Lamela did this to Martial, and Martial reacted, and Martial got sent off when Lamela was asking for it, and he'd done the same to Martial, and it really wound me up. Because Diaz is diving, he's making the most out of it, he's wound up Shaw, and he's got away with one. And the reason I think the ref is a joke is because it's so obvious Diaz is play acting. Shaw shouldn't have done that. Shaw shouldn't have reacted like that. But Diaz was acting like a little baby. And when players play out like that, I think, do not give them what they want. Do not send Shaw off because he's done that on purpose. and Newcastle went down to 10 men, and Newcastle weren't good with 11 men. They weren't good with 11 men. It was a nervy 30 minutes from Newcastle. So when they went down to 10 men, I thought, oh, but they were phenomenal with 10 men. It almost made them more alert. It almost made them go up a level. And it was a real team performance from Newcastle United, because it's never easy with 10 men. But they stuck together. They worked so hard together. They played for each other. They gave 100% for each other. Joe Linton, absolute beast of a player. His physical flooring that he adds to the Newcastle midfield gives them so much balance in terms of out of possession, in terms of physicalness, which can help Guimaraes and Longstaff. I think obviously Nick Pope was injured, Botman was injured. There was a lot of injuries, but I think Joel Linton, in particular in midfield, because Tonali had been suspended and Willock had been injured, the midfield injuries is where I think it almost hit Newcastle the worst last season, because the midfield balance meant the defence was more exposed. And they did concede some silly goals. But Joel Linton's a beast of a player. He can cover ground. He can carry the ball so aggressively. He's an immense duel winner. He's the physical guy. It gives Bruno Guimaraes a little bit more license to get further forward. And Bruno Guimaraes and Joel Linton is two monsters of players that Newcastle have. And the teamwork from Newcastle, and one thing you'll say about Newcastle, one reason I think Newcastle are the dark horses is more than any team in the league, they play as a team. They work for each other. In terms of athletic ability, work rate, pressing, playing as a team, Newcastle are probably one of the most team-like teams in the Premier League, if you get what I mean. Chelsea, loads of brilliant individuals, but they're not quite a team yet. Newcastle is a team. They might not have the individual names that Chelsea have, and maybe Chelsea have a better team on paper, but Newcastle play best as a team. And they went down to 10 men. And I thought Eddie Howe got his tactics spot on, because they continued with the high press. They got the goal because of the high press. They worked incredibly hard off the ball. They were giving everything, and it was a well-worked win. Because yes, it's Southampton, a newly promoted team. Yes, you're at home, but when you go down to 10 men like that, it's not easy. And Bruno Guimaraes showed he's a real leader. And I saw this tweet about Bruno Guimaraes that stood out to me. Captain Bruno was excellent today, particularly at relieving pressure. His ability to sense when contact is about to be made and angle his body to win fouls is nothing short of world class. And in a game like that, being able to relieve pressure is invaluable. And this guy stole what I was thinking, but put it into better words. I was thinking this, but this guy just puts it into way better, more intelligent words than me. Press resistant, awareness, Bruno Guimaraes. Bruno Guimaraes is a world-class player. There's no doubt in my mind that he would be phenomenal at Liverpool, phenomenal at Manchester City, but he loves Newcastle, he's committed to Newcastle, and he deserved to be Newcastle's captain. He is a world-class player, Bruno Guimaraes. Going into City, Erling Haaland is a robot. Erling Haaland didn't do much. He didn't touch the ball, he didn't complete many passes, he didn't really do much. But the one time he gets a chance, he gets the ball, he bodies Colwill, he absolutely goes through the Chelsea defence and he scores a goal. The touch, the power, the ability to position himself in that tight space, score the goal. I'm convinced he's AI. It's not normal from Haaland. He's one of those guys where he doesn't need much, but he can just do something special and he can win you a game. And that's where City have won trophies. I know Haaland hasn't been the best in cup finals and at Wembley and all of that, but what Haaland can do is a guy that is going to win City trophies. Now, another guy that was really impressive was Savio. He had to swap wings because I don't know if Doku was struggling or they wanted to swap wings. But it was like watching Mahrez, the way he moves his body, the way he dribbles. Very impressive debut from Savio, a player that I don't know a whole lot about, but he reminded me of Mahrez. He looks like a baller that City have there. I thought he was phenomenal. I'm trying to make sure this video doesn't drag on too much because I'm losing my voice now. No Rodri, no problem. City did not have Rodri. They didn't have Foden in the starting 11. They had a lot of key players missing. So I don't think City were at their best. And I do think that Chelsea gave them a difficult game. And 2-0 was flattering. But I thought Bernardo Silva had a really good game. But I thought Kovacic was unbelievable, particularly dropping deep, doing elements of what Rodri did. I thought Kovacic did not look out of place. I thought he was really good out of possession, really good in possession. Got his goal against Chelsea. I thought he was phenomenal. But one player I'm not quite sure on is Doku. His end product needs to improve. He's young, he's raw, he's a good dribbler, but his end product, I think he's wasteful. If you want my honest opinion, I think Doku is wasteful. And I think with City, you can afford to have a wasteful player. But I think that's the one weakness I'd say is I'm not 100% convinced on Jeremy Doku. He's got all the potential to be a top player, and he is young, so he can still be a top player, but I think he needs to improve in the final third. Let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you for watching. Bye.